And now it looks like it's going to be episode 19. As you recall, during our reading, we're going to start at page 180. I should have kept going. I had a little bit more to go, but that's the way it goes. They've got off the boat. They're invisible. Champ can't see the shore because it's dark, but Eclipse, or Marie, his wife, can see in the dark, so she sees it, and they're just about ready. She's following the direction. And now, episode 18. But first, we want to thank you. This is me. Okay, now let's begin with the reading on page 180. The area is completely smothered in darkness with only a glimmer of light from the moon that creaks through the densely grounded shrubbery in selective sections. Only Marie, with her power of the eclipse, moves effortlessly in the darkness on the path as if it was a bright sunny day. Champ, I found something over here in the bushes. It's a small boat. What's it doing here? Champ exhales worriedly and says, I don't know, dear. Maybe it's Loiso's boat for us. At any rate, let's try to keep our voices down as we move up the path. Marie, no sense wasting your invisible power anymore. Go ahead and release us. I already have, says Marie, but I think it's a good idea for you to hold Mom's hand, and I'll hold yours since I'm the only one who can really see what's going on. And now we begin the next chapter, which is called Chapter 16, Truth in the Darkness. They walk another 20 feet, and the path moves upward and narrows and becomes more deliberate with each step. After another 30 more years, the path comes to an abrupt end with a fallen tree blocking its path. All look at each other for a moment and conclude that this might be an excellent place to stop and catch their breath. While Champ and Bailey's eyes have adjusted to the dark somewhat, Marie continues to have no problem visually and moves about freely to find the best place on the fallen tree to sit. So what do we do now, Champ, if he doesn't find us? Assuming, of course, this is where he wanted us to be, states Bailey with consternation. Champ doesn't respond as he reaches for his beard in the security of darkness and nervously shuffles his feet. Marie speaks up consolingly and says, sorry, my nose. Champ, Cassio's gonna be all right. Champ clears his throat and says with a slight shaking in his voice, I know he's going to be all right. I'm not worried. Our son has been trained well and is very responsible. I'm not nervous at all. You're not? Then why are you stroking your beard? Asked Marie pointedly. I'm not, says Champ embarrassedly, who quickly removes his hand from his face as if to create doubt of the fact. Why would I be stroking my beard? Replies Champ unconvincingly, as his voice shallows. Unseen to the others, only the darkness hides the small, warm smile from Marie, who replies with a teasing slight scold, because you always strike your beard when you're really worried. Besides, remember, Champ, you're not talking to just your wife. You're talking to the eclipse. Got a computer. Remember, you're talking to the eclipse who can see in the dark, in case you've forgotten. No, I haven't forgotten, admits Champ, as his hand returns to his beard to finish the necessary stroke. Since seeing in the dark is not only my only talent, I'm going to use these ugly gecko feet of mine to climb this tall tree over there and see if I can find Loiso. I know you can't see it, but trust me, there is a very tall tree to your left. Champ, I'll be back. Marie proceeds to quietly glide over to the tree in question, blanketed in darkness and with ease, and begins to climb the tree as easily as a famed little creature whose power she has been given. Once she manages to scale to the top of the wiry tree, she slowly begins her visual search. I see him, but he's on the other side of the river, replies Marie with respite. Champ casts a very heavy sigh, sounding its concern through the layers of darkness around them that falls only on the ears of Bailey. What's wrong, Champ? Is this going to be a problem? Asks Bailey as she reaches out in the darkness to touch Champ's shoulders. No, Mom. It's not at all. It just bothers me a little about who that little boat we found belongs to. Marie climbs down the tree and with a short jump lands on the ground and begins to walk over to the two. You worry too much, Champ. It probably belongs to our guide, the one Loiso told us about, replies Bailey. Champ nods to himself and accepts that explanation with reluctance and doesn't reply. So what do we do now? Asks Bailey. A few seconds of silence passes as Marie begins to chuckle. Mom, I know you can't see him right now, but I can tell you by the smirk on his face, I think I know what we're going to do. Champ laughs and says, That's right, ladies. We're surfing the river at midnight. Or we could use a little small boat, offers Bailey. Oh, yeah. I guess we can do that too, agrees Champ with deflated enthusiasm. Marie grabs onto her mother and husband's arm and guides them back down the path as scattered specks of light gives them small glimpses of what lies ahead. They find the boat and climb inside and sit and wait for the power of the aqua force. Champ extends his arms as the water begins to move the small boat up to the tributary silently with a steady pace as it being guided by a motorboat at slow speed. Once we reach that spot, Loiso discreetly moves out of the bush to the area of less densely darkness. With extended arms, he softly replies, I was worried. I thought you might be lost. Come with me. On top of the hill is where we are going to meet him. Champ exhales and says to Loiso, Who is this we're meeting? As I said, I don't know, says the smaller man as he stumbles across the small stick, stops and picks it up and begins to casually scratch his back. You don't know exactly, but you do have an idea, don't you? Says Marie with concern. Trust me, replies Loiso. Loiso continues to move to the shadows and tells them we should do the same just in case and avoid the light sections as much as possible. Marie continues to gaze at him through the darkness and sees that his face shows uneasiness. You're concerned too, Loiso. Your face betrays you, says Marie with concerned uneasiness. Loiso's face still hidden from their views of all but Marie, who holds a bad poker face of denial for his defense. As I said, I don't know exactly. I suspect it may be one of the supervillains. What? Says Champ. I was sort of expecting Brady. I'm sorry, my good friend. I should have probably told you that, but I was afraid you might not have come if you knew it was one of your enemies, admits Loiso with regret. You need to trust me and trust yourself, Champ, counsels Loiso. You always second guess yourself and always take the easiest path, a path of less resistance. Let me tell you a proverb, my friend. A friend of mine here on Outland, who was from Ghana, used to always tell me this proverb and helping me to watch what I say. I sometimes talk too much, he admits with embarrassment. He said, in the presence of the tongue, the teeth do not litigate. A calm disposition with the tongue can always stem the tide of aggression and the bearing of teeth. Remember that, champ, in all your dealings with these people, warns Loiso as they continue climbing up the hill. By the way, where did you get that little small metal boat? Asked Loiso. Marie notices the look on Champ's face of concern and surprise, but he says nothing. We found it on the shore where we landed. I thought you left it for us, answers Champ with a deliberate intent of unconcern. It was not me, my good friend. How fortunate it was. Yes, fortunate, whispers Bailey to her daughter, Marie, as she continues to walk very close and mirroring each step with her. After about 15 minutes of walking, they see a small campfire and a tent just ahead with no one in sight. The area overall seems to be very dark despite the fire. They slowly approach the tent and hear nothing. No one's in sight. Was something wrong? Did he change his mind or did someone eliminate him already? They didn't know. Champ and Loiso approach the tent and call out, "Hello? Is anybody there?" No one replies. Champ looks at Loiso, who extends his hand to Champ to move closer to the tent as he replies with nervous exhortation, "You first." Champ slowly pulls the flap back on the tent and says, "Hello, we're coming in." As Champ slowly enters, Loiso carefully maintains his position outside the tent, looking in as Champ explores and exits the tent. There's nobody inside, Champ says with guarded relief, as he walks over to the fire, burning on small twigs, and then bends down on his knees and grabs some twigs and tosses them in the center of the flame. He rubs his hands together briskly and says, "I guess we'll wait." Champ invites Marie, Bailey, and Loiso to join him by the fire. Bailey lets out a little laugh as she says with a smile, "You know, this reminds me of a time when Judge and I went camping with his sister Boxy and her second husband. He was a real outdoorsman, but Boxy was anything but." "I remember this story, Mom. Please continue. I think we could all use a good laugh right now," admits Marie, looking over to her worried husband. Bailey smiles and takes a small piece of wood that fell off to the side of the campfire and returns it to the center. She again smiles with reflection and continues with the story. "When it came time for all of us to go to bed and sleep in the tent, Boxy complained that she had seen a snake earlier and was afraid it was coming back to get her. She was convinced that no matter what we said, he was coming back for her. What she said made us all laugh. She turned to Judge and says, 'I don't like sleeping outside with snakes. I don't think we should sleep in their rooms, and I certainly don't want them sleeping in mine. Next time we go camping, it's the Holiday Inn for me.' The next morning, all she did was moan and complain and was so angry when she caught the snake in her bed. She went to kill it with a cooking pan, and it wouldn't die. I bent over and found out why. It was a rubber snake, but it did move. Boxy insisted, And she was right. I found a fishing line attached to it, and we followed it back to the tent of her brother Judge and found her husband Lloyd and Judge smothering each other with laughter. Judge and Lloyd were always doing that kind of stuff to poor Boxy. It's no wonder they got divorced. As the laughter begins and fades quickly, a silhouette of a man walking toward them dressed in a raccoon hat with deerskin leather attire begins to slowly lumber over to them carrying what looks like a long, large Davy Crockett-type rifle. While the man is deeply covered in the dark shadows of the tree-covered area, unseen by the others, Marie stands up defiantly and says, "I don't believe it. You, of all people." So, who is this? Next episode. So thank you for watching, listening, and everything like that. Episode, I don't know what that is, but anyway, it's getting good, folks. Thank you for sticking with us, and subscribe, of course.
Belmont Estates, off of Moss Street or off of East.